Hello everyone. I've actually recorded this once and then weren't happy with either video and then I accidentally deleted them because I'm a spam. Hopefully these two videos won't be too long. The reason being is this one is along similar to a couple I've already done, which I will link both up in the iCard, and it's something that's been happening involving some of these people and somebody that I've been watching for some time. I can't talk too loud because next door I'm just going to bed, so I'll try and talk clearly, but I can't talk too loud. So over the last week there has been a bit of a beef going on Twitter between three people. Two on one side, one on another. The two on one side is Mikenactor and Joy, and the one on the other is MrRepzion. Now, I'm going to say right from the get-go, in this instance, that I'm pretty much on MrRepzion's side. I've been watching him for quite some time, on and off for years, going back as far back as when he was just getting out from under the religious reins of his family. So I know enough about him to know what he's like. And he's a young lad, which you have to bear in mind. All three of these people are quite young. Except Joy, she's a little bit older, I think. I'm not sure how old Mike is, but I know MrRepzion's quite young. And I know Joy's a couple of years younger than me, I think. So, and Joy did a video, I'm not 100% sure which video it was, because I can't stand to watch her videos anymore. I've just lost all will in listening to her because her voice just goes right through me. The vitriol, the hatred, the nastiness in it just makes me say nope, don't care. I'm pretty much done watching her videos. Unless there's something pertinent that I need to know in a video, then fine. In this instance, this is more of a beef between... It does involve Joy to a point. Now what happened is she did a video, and I'm thinking it was last week, so it would have been after the news came out that the Martins from the Daddy of Five case are possibly facing criminal charges. Now, in the video, she must say something along the lines of "I'm done," because I will get these tweets and comments. I have already got this comment because I cheated and emailed it to myself. The advantages of having more than one email. And I emailed it to myself, so I have this one. And the others are all over Twitter. And it's quite interesting. It is quite funny. And I'll explain what I mean. On the video, MrRepzion commented, "Hee, oh, your work is done alright. How convenient. You really think this is going to stop me from making my video, bringing everything to light?" Now, there are issues with her involvement with Daddy of Five that a lot of people have had, which is why she's saying she's got information when she shouldn't have. Is it possible that she was lying? And if she has got information, who she got it off? And like I said, I go into this in the whole entire video. I even explain the gag order and the way it works in a child court setting in my problems with Joy Sparkle video. And it's one of those things that a lot of people have an issue with. So he comments that, and then he comments that on a video, and then he tweets, "I'd like to give a heads up that I will not be holding back anything back regarding my Joy Sparkles video, changing my presentation style." And then he continued down in a second tweet saying, "Been debating back and forth with myself, so after seeing her claiming I've committed insurance fraud, which I haven't, time to unleash hell." This is reference to the fact that years upon years ago he stated he'd got an insurance, life insurance, and in one of his videos he was going through a tough time at the time, but he only had that life insurance policy for a year. So, and he never claimed on it, so how could he have committed insurance fraud? If it's life insurance, to claim life insurance you have to be dead. So how? Yeah? So then Joy tweeted him and said, "MrRepzion, you are bandwagon jumping attention seeker. I can't wait for your video. Not yet responded because you aren't worth my time." He then responds and says, "Well, you're certainly tweeting a lot about me. If I'm not worth your time, sweetie, I mean, behaviour speaks for itself, cupcake." Joy then replies to, "I'm standing up for myself." Now you can't do it, can you? Come to me in private and act like an adult, tweeting me while blocking me instead of blocking. Basically, it's basically saying that because he hasn't gone to her personally, that he's childish, and it's something that they're both saying that he's childish. You want this, right? You want a drama for attention and money, so now I'm confronting you. You man enough to come at me in private as requested. Sorry, my reading is terrible, I'm dyslexic, I can't help it. Now, the problem is, also within all this, there's been a video where Mikenactor did a video addressing MrRepzion. He then did a 30-minute video back, and the Mike's done about another 5 videos in response to that. And the thing is, when it comes to somebody like Repzion, he's the first person to put out his shit on the internet. He knows what there is out there about him, so he will admit what he's done wrong, which he has done. Also, in a video, Mike says something along the lines of the whole thing about Joy being taken out of context. But he was doing the same to MrRepzion, and then he calls MrRepzion out for doing it to him. But you were doing it. Huh? And also, this is another thing that really annoyed me. Right? He's willing to call Onision out on all the crappy behaviour that he's done. He's willing to call anybody out on any crappy behaviour that they've ever done. Now, when somebody tries to call Joy out, he's the first person to jump to her defence. Yet he doesn't, and he will defend her. He will defend her. He won't criticise her, even though he's a social commentary channel, and that's what we do. Social commentary channels comment on things that are going on in society, and lots of us do it within the YouTube world, and there are obviously different facets in the YouTube world. There's the makeup communities, there's drama communities, this community, that community. Fine. But in the social commentary, we all have to be aware of our faults and our issues. I know what I've done in the past, and I will admit to those things, should anybody ever bring them up. I've never done anything illegal though. And he doesn't understand why people are going on at Joy because of the whole poo baby thing, when he's comparing it to MrRepzion or the Wojcicki saying certain words. Number one, they've never said them in a derogatory manner or a way that could be deemed as derogatory like Joy did. The conversation that Joy had with Mike on live stream, as I said in my previous video, could be deemed as incendiary because she was comparing two different colour classes of people, brown and black, because she clumps them both together. She's comparing them to poo, to fecal matter. And he can understand why that would upset people. Now, like I said, I'm Hispanic. I have a lot of Hispanic blood within me. It doesn't bother me. But in this country, being part of Spanish isn't that big of an issue because we're only a stone's throw away from Spain. In America, for some strange reason, it's quite different. Like I said, I know the racial tensions in America are different than over here, which can be expected because there's a big, huge ocean between us. But there are a lot of differences between the two countries when it comes to the racial aspect. And when you compare two different races of people to fecal matter, it can upset people. And I'm not personally upset by it because I am only partially Hispanic. However, I can understand why people that are more Hispanic than I am, or are second or third generation Hispanic Americans, I can understand why they would be pissed off. She can understand it, neither can he, which astounds me. Yes, it might have been a joke to them, but to other people it wouldn't be seen as a joke. If you want to have that conversation with Mike, have it on Skype and don't live stream it, or have it on Google Hangouts and don't live stream it, because at the end of the day it's got nothing to do with anybody else. That conversation happened between you and your roommate in the confines of your own home, and that was it. That's where it should have stayed, but it didn't. The fact that she put it out on the internet meant that people kicked back on it, and that's why people have an issue with her. That and several other issues. Her claiming that YouTube is press, again, that's another issue I'll talk about in my previous video. The gag order, again, another issue I'll point out in the previous video. Mikenactor also called Repzion out because Repzion tweeted on Onision and said that although we don't have any mutual respect or any friendship or anything like that, there are several issues I agree with you on. And even for me, I really detest Onision. He makes my skin crawl. But there are several things that I do agree with him on. I do agree that women do need to have a better body self-image. One of the things he said he's very strong on is the whole don't cry about the issue, fix the issue type of attitude, which I agree with. And there are things that I agree with Joy on. I do agree that child abuse shouldn't be allowed on YouTube, and I do agree that child abuse is horrific. And I do agree that some of the stuff that Onision's done is almost bordering on being illegal. It isn't, but it's almost. But just because I agree with Onision and Joy on several things doesn't mean I'm going to start being their friend again, because there are a lot of things about Greg I don't agree with, just like Repzion doesn't. There's a lot of things I don't agree with Joy on. And I think I've well and truly burnt that bridge with this being, the third video. But I'm not doing this necessarily to defend Repzion, because he's big enough and old enough to do it himself. And he has a hell of a bigger following than I do to do with that and to stand up for him. And he can stand up for himself. He's had a taste with all this aggro of the vitriol that you can get from her fans, and I'm just glad he hasn't come up against John's fans then, because they're even worse. But at the end of the day, one thing I will say, and it's the one thing I practice, and it's one thing a lot of YouTubers I look up to practice, One of them being the one I've just finished watching, which is Philip DeFranco, which is, if you're interested in something I tell you about, go and research it yourself. Don't take my word for it. Don't take Joy's word for it. There was a commenter on one of my previous videos who had said that she'd found a fan of Joy's who had a similar condition and similar diagnosis to Joy, and was going the same way, using health and natural supplements and so on for her health, and following Joy's medical advice. And that scared me. That instantly scared me. And then another person who had the same condition I have commented, and she couldn't understand why everybody's so bothered about Joy's condition. It's because she threw it in everybody's face. Like I said in a previous video, if Joy hadn't have ended up making everything about her illness and everything about, you know, the fact that this happened and this happened and this happened and this happened, it just seems to be that every time she gets kicked back on something, first time it came out was when she was getting a lot of kickback off on eating on guys. Then the next bit happened because she was getting kicked back off the money that she never that she said she'd donated but never showed receipts for. And then another thing came out when she was getting pushed back on the boo babies. Then all of a sudden this thing about her being what happened to her came out, and it's like, yeah, it's always a reaction. It's always, instead of just saying I fucked up and just leaving it at that. Every video I do, I don't mention my condition. I probably mention it in every 4th or 5th video. And it's not what my channel's about. It's a small portion of my channel, because it's a big portion of me. But it isn't a huge clump of what my channel's about. Whereas at the minute, Joy seems to be, at the beginning of every video, I wasn't going to make a video today, but you just said the word but and he gets anything you said before. It really, really annoys me how he refuses to criticise her when she's the one person that he should be criticising and should be saying, you shouldn't do that. If I was friends with somebody who was in the same community, when I last recorded this I used EOcast as an example, because I have messaged him a few times and we have talked about certain topics. And if I had an issue with anything particularly nasty and egregious that he'd ever said, that I could potentially be upset by, I would go to him, I would email him and say, look, I understand your point of view, however you could have presented it a bit different. That story, the Pooh Baby story, should not have been told on social media at all, not by a long shot. It should have stayed within the confines of her home, with her and her roommate, end of. Whether the downward spiral that continues to happen with Joy is going to continue, I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. With a bit of luck, she'll start to stabilise soon, because she's getting dangerous. She's getting very, very dangerous, and it's worrying me. It's very much worrying me, because there are people that are following her medical advice and saying, oh, she's got the same condition, I should do what she does. Not because even within the same condition there's different severities, different intensities. Also, different people react to meds differently. Perfect example, my mum can't have anything with aspirin. I can, she can't. So there's a lot of stuff I can have that she can't have. So that's the thing, that you don't know what medical treatment is going to be best for you unless you speak to the appropriate specialists. Now obviously in this country getting to a specialist is a little bit harder than it is in America, but it's still possible. Trust me, I've fought for it enough. But at the end of the day, with a bit of luck, Joy will pull back again because she did take a 3-day break, but she needs to take a week. She needs to take a week, she needs to back away, and she needs to get her life out of YouTube. I don't just do YouTube, I do my writing, I spend time with my husband, I spend time with my friends, I spend time with my mum, I spend time with my in-laws. I don't just stay in this house all the time. You know, it's not, I'm not, Joy is very, to me she seems very insulated and everything's YouTube, 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 you now. She's not on YouTube live stream, she's on you now, or she's recording a video, or she's sleeping. And it astounds me, it really does. But never mind. Anyway, that's it for this video. Next week there isn't going to be any videos because my mum's over, so I'm having next week off. I need a week off. So I'm doing, today's Tuesday night, so I'm doing tomorrow's videos now, but I'll edit them tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow night, and then I'm going to record Friday's video now, and then I'll edit that Thursday morning while I'm waiting for the hubby to cook, all that. So anyway, stay safe, be good, have fun, and I will see you soon.